Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Horror Room. I'm Travis Bruce, and today we're doing another Women of Horror Spotlight. Today I have with us is an author, and she has a new book out right now. You can find it everywhere: Amazon, Kindle Unlimited. There's even an Audible version as well, and it's called Terror at Camp Silverside. I have with us Danielle Newthang. Danielle, welcome to the Horror Room.
Thank you for having me. I'm excited to be here.
It's an absolute pleasure of mine.
Yeah.
Now, tell us a little bit about Terror at Camp Silverside.
All right. So this is my third book. I write young adult horror and middle grade horror. This one is, I would say, more middle grade than young adult. So it's about a girl and her brother who go to camp. She's not feeling it. He is. And they find out that there's a lot of mystery surrounding this camp, including a creature that was spotted near the camp many, many years ago. And no one's quite sure if it actually exists or not, but they're going to try to find out. So, yeah.
So what got you interested in writing YA horror?
Actually, it's because, so when I was young and I first started reading, I didn't think I liked it. You're forced to read a bunch of stuff in school, and I just couldn't get into anything. So I thought reading wasn't for me. But then I found young adult horror. So I found Christopher Pike was my first big venture into it. And then, Lois Duncan was another one I read. And then R.L. Stine, of course. I got into Fear Street and Goosebumps and all that stuff. And I went, hey, this reading stuff's pretty great. So I've always been a fan of horror. And so that was what got me into reading. And then the reason I decided to write it was because I think it was last year we were watching, my husband and I, Halloween is like the best. Yeah. So we watched tons of horror stuff, and we were watching things like the new Goosebumps show that came out. There's Tales from the Crypt Keeper, which is an old cartoon that we love. And we were watching those, and I just said, I would love to write stuff like this. And he said, then do it. Okay. So, and mainly it was just because that's what I loved. And so I wanted to do that. Maybe my stuff will help another kid like me who didn't like reading find that love of reading.
So like when you wrote the Terror of Camp Suicide, did you have any youth as what's the term? Did you have any of them? There's a term for it. I can't think of it right now. What? Did you have any of them take a look at it and get any feedback?
Yeah, so beta readers, maybe.
Beta readers,
yeah. So my husband is my alpha reader. He reads it first, and he tells me what he thinks. But then I have at least two of my beta readers have kids, and one of them has a daughter that's just going into high school. So I think she reads it first, and then she lets her daughter read it. But she lets me know. She says, oh, she loved it, or maybe this part was a little too much for her, or whatever. So yeah, I like to have at least parents of the kids read it, because they'll let me know. They'll let me know if I've stepped over the line.
Because you write for young adults. Is there a specific age range that you're looking to target?
Anywhere from middle school through high school, really. Younger if they're cool with it. If kids like horror, they're going to be fine with my books. There's no language. There's no adult situations. I don't write any of that stuff. So it really is safe. If you have a kid that happens to be younger than that, who loves horror, they'll most likely be fine reading my books. They're not going to get too scared. And, if you're older than high school and you like young adult horror, I would hope that you had fun reading my books too. But yeah, I try to stick with that middle school to high school.
Because I fell in love with R.L. Stine's Goosebumps. I fell in love with I would say I was in the third grade. And and they were like the perfect amount of horror for. I mean, listen, my parents were crazy and had me watching Texas Chainsaw Massacre and shit too. But I felt like that was the perfect amount of horror for a third grader.
Yeah. Perfect. Yeah. Yeah, and I think Terror at Camp Silverside is in that same realm. So it's a little younger, um, and I think I think that age could third grade. Again, it's kind of hard because there are some kids that the second you do something crazy and scary, they're like, nope, I'm out. So as long as you like horror, I think they'll be fine. I was the same way too. I watched things that I should not be watching when I was young.
Now, so when you're writing for you, do you almost go back in your mind like, what was I like at this age, or do you try to, let's just say, people watch youth today and see how they interact?
Yeah, well, luckily, I used to teach after school classes to middle schoolers, and then I also directed shows for middle school and high school. So I had a lot of interaction with kids in those many years that I did that, and a lot of the things in the book, like a lot of the characters and some of the interactions, are things that I saw these kids, either the kids themselves. I was like, yeah, you'd make a good character, or things that they would talk about or things like that. So yeah, now I'm not around them anymore. And I'm sure in what's it been, maybe 4 years that I've been doing that, since I've done that, they're all different now. 'Cause you know how that goes with kids. Uh, but yeah, if I have friends who have kids, I'll sit and I'll watch them. Like, oh, okay.
Observe, yes.
That's how, yeah. But also, I have an acting background. So I was a professional actor for 25 years before I got into all of this. And so that's also something you can pull from that. Learning how to act, you have to pretend to be another person anyway. So I can pull all that in and use that to make my characters. So. Yeah.
See, and that might help you in acting because I know right now if I wrote a YA for young adults, it would feel like an old man wrote it. feel like a 41-year-old wrote it because I'd be talking stuff about like what? No one says that anymore. Like,
be like, wow, that's groovy, man.
Yeah.
Oh, wait, it says
that. My bad. And they're like, what? You're bad. What is that?
Yeah, I'm sure I do that. I'm sure I do. I will say in Camp Silverside, I used bet. And I was like, oh, I'm so embarrassed. I don't know how that works, but I was like, that's what he would say, so he's gonna say
it. Now, being a new author and an indie author, what are some struggles that you have ran into that you didn't anticipate? That you could tell, someone who's thinking about right now, I'm about to write my first indie. It could be horror, YA, well,
whatever.
What are some things that you ran into that was completely unexpected?
I think the hardest thing is your self-doubt. What's that term? Your that little voice in your head that says, what are you doing? You can't do this. I know there's a term for it. It must be one of those kind of nights. Can't remember words, right? Imposter syndrome. Your imposter syndrome. That was probably the hardest thing because you just say to yourself, like, you don't know what you're doing. And especially, so I decided, I read a lot. And so I decided to get some R.L. Stine books, find Christopher Pike, but I wanted to reread them to kind of have this idea of what it sounded, and some new stuff. I tried to find a bunch of new stuff and read all that just to kind of have that idea. And I was working on my first book at the time, and I just kept going, I'm not good at this. These books are great. I'm not good at this, But eventually you just have to get out of your own head, which is so much easier said than done. But that was probably the hardest thing as far as that part, as the writing goes. And then there's the whole like trying to figure out how to get it published. When you're self-publishing everything, you have to figure out where your money goes and, you know, what you're willing to spend. And if you want to do stuff yourself, you have to make sure you're doing it right. And yeah, it can get a little overwhelming, but then when you hold that book in your hand, that real book, it's all worth it. All worth it.
I can imagine. I can imagine like once you finally get your book out there and people are reading it and people are buying it, it has to be an amazing feeling.
It really is. And my mom and my mother-in-law are big supporters of me, and they have their books and they make me sign them, and I just think I remember that first book, and I showed up to a family event and my mother-in-law gave it to me and she's like, "Sign, you got to sign." She had a pen ready and everything. And I was just like, "Oh, makes me feel really good." So, yeah. And then people read it that I don't even know, and they're like, "Yeah, it was really good." And I'm like, "Oh, that feels great." So, yeah. You expect your family to support you,
Yes.
you know?
And yeah, we get complete strangers giving reviews or comments. It's an amazing film. That's when you know, okay, I'm doing something.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah, it's
Doing something.
nice. It's nice.
Now, you said that your husband is the alpha reader.
Right. So he
Is
gets
I
it
would
first.
say, I would say, is that tough on him?
Um No, I think he's pretty good about um he'll be straight up with me about it, and that's okay. I mean, I want him to be, and I trust him. I
He
think
doesn't have
that's
to sleep on
kind
the couch or anything.
no,
Okay.
not yet, not yet. Uh, but I trust his opinion. So, and sometimes it's funny because he'll say like some things, and then I hand it to my beta readers, and they'll say the same things, but then they'll say more, and I'm like, so he'll tell me, he's like, "Oh, I got really into it, and then I wasn't really paying attention that much to like giving criticism," but he's pretty good about it, and he always catches the weird stuff that I do, and I fix that before beta readers. So, but so far so good. So far so good.
Good. But because I mean, right now when it comes to indie horror, I mean, in general, you know, it's a lot easier to get your stuff out there with self-publishing, even small presses, publishing houses. But I mean, there's a huge influx of projects and books and stories out there. What are some things that you try to do to stand out?
Um, right now, what I'm trying to do is put out a new book every 2 months. So I've already put 3 out. I started, my first one came out in May, and then Camp Silverside just came out September. So, and that's my third. And then I have one more that I'm going to get out by November, fingers crossed. And then we'll see about next year. But I was like, I want to get out a bunch of stories now. And then next year, I'm going to really focus on advertising and doing events and things like that. And I still want to write. I have plenty of stories up in my head. So we'll see how they all come out. Did I answer the question? My brain went somewhere
Yes.
else. And okay, good.
You just said 4 stories in 1 year. How do you pull that off?
I don't know. So years before I started writing, I use my phone to write down ideas. And it was always like, oh, I could, because I did theater, so I was like, I could write a skit or a show or something with this plot. And so I just have this big long list of ideas, and sometimes an idea will come to me and I can't stop thinking about it. And that's when I know, I'm like, okay, this is the story I'm going to start working on. And I don't know, it just kind of all, once it starts happening, it all kind of, it just flows. And then it becomes a book. Now, my books aren't long. They're not epic, because like I think about these books that are 300 pages or more, 3, 4, 500 pages. And I'm like, yeah, that would take me much longer. Mine are, we're talking 100 to 200 pages, 150, 200 pages. So they're not that long. That certainly helps. And really, it's just, like I said, once that idea hits me, then it just kind of happens, which is nice. Not always. There are moments of, what am I doing? Right. So.
So when you have that idea in your head, do you already have an ending in mind, or is that something you work towards?
No.
Yeah.
usually it's I have the idea. So, I don't know. Sometimes I don't outline. I'm not good at that. I don't have the attention span to do that. So I'll usually have like, so Sisterhood, which is the first book that I wrote. I had the idea of a sorority, vampire sorority. And I can't remember why Rush Week was like a thing. It was going on. I have a sister-in-law who does Rush, and maybe she was talking about it. I can't remember. But I went, wouldn't that be funny if the sorority was full of vampires? And so then I just started writing. I was like, okay, we're going to start with Rush Week. It's the first day. She's dealing with that. Let's see where it goes. And honestly, it went in directions that I had no idea where it was going. And it was great. I was like, that was fun. And then the second book, Arts and Crafts, actually started out as a book about aliens, turned into a book about witchcraft. I don't know. I don't know how it happened. I started to write it. Yeah, I was like, these aren't even similar. And somehow I was writing about the aliens and it wasn't working. And then all of a sudden it became about witchcraft and it worked. And I was like, okay, whatever. And Tara at Camp Silverside, my cousin runs an event called Covington Cryptid Block Party. And it's all about cryptids. So Bigfoot and Mothman and all that stuff, Jersey Devil. And I asked if I could have a booth as an author, but I didn't have, Silverside wasn't out yet. And she was like, oh yeah. So we were talking about it. And I thought, boy, I should write a book that has a cryptid in it for the Cryptid Block Party. And I had been wanting to do a summer camp book, and it just kind of worked out nicely. I was like, oh, that's the perfect setting for a cryptid. So that's where, and it's Octoman. There's no secret as to who he's right there on the cover, which I don't have yet. I haven't gotten my physical copies yet, but so yeah, that's where that one came from, and that's how that works. It's yeah.
Now, do you personally believe in Bigfoot and cryptids and all that?
I don't know. They're probably not real. I want them to be real, but they're, like, I think they're all so cute that I'm like, yeah, of course I want Bigfoot to be running around in the woods somewhere. Is he? I don't know. Probably not, but
Yeah.
And I think Octoman's adorable. I know it doesn't make any sense, but I do think he's really cute. And I'm like, oh, like a big 9-foot octopus man. Yeah, he should exist.
it would make life more exciting, right?
Right? Right? Yes. Mothman shows up. That's cool. Like, oh, I didn't see that coming. Yeah.
A lot of people are going to die, but I mean,
whatever.
I mean, it happens anyway. I mean, no.
See, that's the thing, though. See, maybe they're not all bad. Maybe some of them. I think Bigfoot would probably be really nice. I don't think he's not known for being mean, right? He just walks around the woods.
No, he tears people's arms off. He tears people's arms off.
Bigfoot, come on, get it together, man.
See, you're thinking about Harry and Henderson. That's what I'm thinking about Bigfoot, which is a sweet Bigfoot.
Right.
But Bigfoot is evil, and I'm not evil. He's mean. But here's the thing: that's if you trespass on his. But at the same time, there's a whole bunch of different kind of Bigfoots. I mean, there's a skunk ape. There's what's that one called?
The Yeti. The
Yeti, the Abominable Snowman.
Abominable, right?
And there's another one in like Tennessee. His name is Bogman. Yes.
Bogman. There's so many cryptids out there. That was kind of
Mhm.
the crazy part when I was trying to figure out which cryptid to use in Camp Silverside. Uh, I was like, I wanted a water one. I knew I wanted one that had to do with water. And then the cool part, Octoman is from my area. So that's why I used him, because I was like,
Oh,
that's cool. Yeah.
and you could do a spinoff and just have a whole cryptid universe.
I don't think I haven't thought of it.
All right, Danielle. As you
Yeah,
know, this is a horror show, so I'm gonna ask you three random horror questions. This is a
let's go.
personal opinion. All
Okay.
right. What is one horror movie that everybody loves that you feel is overrated?
Oh, I'm going to get in so much trouble. Oh, I'm sorry. Please don't send me letters. Um, The Exorcist. I'm sorry. Oh.
Oh, you're gonna get some nasty messages for that
I
one.
know. And here's the thing.
Okay.
Let me
Uh-huh.
explain myself. Please,
Uh-huh.
please. Let me explain myself.
Okay.
I saw the first time I saw The Exorcist, I was a teenager. I don't remember exactly how old I was. And all I did was I watched the scenes in the bedroom. So I
Uh-huh.
didn't watch the whole movie. I only went from scene to scene of her being possessed and the devil and all that. Scared the crap out of me. Absolutely. I
Mhm.
was like, oh, scariest movie ever. Then when I got older, I watched the whole thing. It's talky. There's a lot of
It is
talking going
healthy.
on.
Yes.
And here's the thing, I don't think it's a bad drama movie. I just don't know that I love it as it as a scary movie. Like people are like, "Oh, it's the scariest movie." And I'm like, "Well, yeah, when you watch all the scary parts, it's great."
Mhm.
But they talk, it's a lot of talking. And I can appreciate the acting and the writing is well done. It's just not, I don't know. I don't get
I think it
scared.
was.
I don't know.
I think it was scary for its time, which was before my time. But um, but like I watch. I tell the story that I live in Baltimore, Maryland, and the Exorcist house where it was filmed is in Washington D.C., which is about 40 minutes. So I did an Exorcist tour, and it was a bus tour, and it took us from Baltimore to D.C. to see the Exorcist house and the stairs and all that stuff. And they played The Exorcist. This is the first time I watched it since I was probably like 6 years old.
Right.
And I'm sitting there like watching it. I'm like, wow, I remember this movie being a lot damn scarier when I
Right.
was 6 years old than I do now. I mean, listen, great movie,
It's
amazing movie. The acting was
right.
great,
It's
special effects was great,
so good.
great characters.
Great characters. Like
But
I love all the stuff in the bedroom. It's so
it's
good.
come
And
on, I'm gonna f your mother and this and that. All that is amazing.
but like
But
the overall movie, just kind of, like,
it was scary when I was 6 years old.
yes. If I could go back and have that first experience with it, that'd be great. But
Yes.
like, and we watched it again. It was a few years ago. I was like, let's try it again. And I was still kind of like, eh, I don't know. So maybe I just need to all erase all the new memories of it and just remember that old memory of it. So
Great horror film, iconic horror film.
iconic.
I could agree, but it's not scary in the year 2024.
Right. Right. We're in
Probably
so
in the
much,
year 2002. But listen,
we're in so much trouble.
yeah. I always say the original Friday the 13th. I get so much
Oh,
crap for that one because that movie is very talky.
it,
It's talky, and I know Friday the 13th is around the corner, but that movie is so talky.
so
And
tough.
I remember watching it as a kid. That's the one I never even finished. Out of all of them, I've seen all of them multiple times. I never finished that, and I tried to finish. I watched it because I was taking a tour of Camp Crystal Lake a couple of years ago. I
That's
was like,
fun. That's
well,
fun.
let me actually watch the movie so I can be like, oh, okay, I remember the place. It is so effing boring.
Of all the classic slashers, uh, Friday the 13th, the Jason movies are my least favorite. I enjoy them because they're so they're just ridiculous,
Yes.
especially when you get into the later ones. They're just
Hmm.
so ridiculous. But but yeah, Freddy is my favorite. Freddy Krueger.
Mine too.
And Michael Myers is very close up there as another favorite. And then there's Jason and his mom. Yes, I know. They're kind of, he's
Yep.
there. I get it though. I'm totally with you.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah.
The first one's hard to watch.
It's hard to get through. Yeah.
All right. The second question is, which horror franchise do you wish they would stop making movies?
Oh gosh, there are so many. I kind of wish we'd leave Texas Chainsaw Massacre alone. Thank you. Right? Oh, I see him back there behind you. Yeah.
That's always my pick. Yes.
Like, stop it. Stop it. I mean,
it's getting worse.
Oh, God, so bad.
It's getting worse.
There's an original movie. Like, you go back and watch that original movie. That one is still, it's so good. Like, it's so good. It's gross. It's scary. It's disturbing. Oh, such a good movie.
And there's no blood, and there's hardly no blood, and it's still disturbing.
Right. And it's more about atmosphere and like the disgustingness of it. And, oh gosh, now I want to go watch it. Okay. But, yeah, and I guess, I don't know. The sequels didn't really need to happen. I didn't hate the remake with not Jessica. What was her name? Jessica
Biel. I like that one.
I liked that one. That one I liked, but then whatever that last one was, where all I can remember, there was a bus and they were in a town, and
it was awful.
Oh my God, awful! And I was like, stop, just stop.
I agree. Texas Chainsaw Massacre and The Predator are two horror series that need to just
stop.
Just be done.
Be done.
And I was going to say the same thing about Aliens, but I just recently saw
Romulus, yeah.
And it was so effing good. Like
I haven't seen it yet. I will though. Yeah.
I was going to say the same thing about Alien, but listen, I'm giving Alien a pass right now. I'm ready for some more Alien.
We'll give them that one.
All right. The final question is: you're trapped in your house by yourself with one horror character for 24 hours. Who would it be and why?
In my house?
Yes, and they're trying to kill you. So, like, who do you think you can survive?
Okay, well, the ridiculous answer, I think, would be Jaws. Because, I mean...
Unless it's the Jaws that can float on on land or something.
He's the Sharknado Jaws. Yes. Like, no, Sharknado Jaws. But that's the silly answer. I guess the other one could be Freddy, because I could just stay awake for 24 hours. Right?
Are you 100% sure you could stay awake for 24 hours?
At this age, no. No, I'm screwed.
I'm pretty sure I would think I'm staying awake, and I would just doze off and then be dead.
He'd be like, "It's nap time. Time to go," and I'd be like, "You know what? You're right. I'm good." Yeah. But I do think, I think if I knew that if I fall asleep I will die, I'm guessing I could probably do it. I guess there's no.
I would hope so. I mean, because I would knock myself for a whole bunch of energy drinks and this and that. I felt like. I'm 41 now, right? And I'm telling you, I try to stay awake for like sporting events, right?
Right.
Like football games the 8:00 football game. I'm telling you, by halftime, I'm passed out.
And like, remember when we were teenagers and like you wouldn't sleep for 3-4 days a week?
Yes, you didn't want to sleep.
Yeah, and then you'd have like a day, you'd pass out and you'd be sleeping for 14 hours and then you'd do it all over again. Mm-hmm. There is no way. We used to do those midnight showings of movies. I couldn't even do that anymore. Like, oh my God. The next day, done.
I should be able to stay up to like 3:00 in the morning in clubs and bars and then get up and go to work the next morning. I'm telling you right now, I am yarning listen, I wrap up my interviews around about, I get done my last interview around about 10 p.m., right?
Yeah.
And I am telling you, I'm like, okay, well, I'm going to edit some. It never happens. I'm like, I'm going to bed. Screw this.
Yeah.
I can't do it anymore. I just can't.
Yeah. Well, I just had a birthday, and I just
Happy
turned 50.
birthday.
Thank you. I just turned 50 years old. 55, the big 50. So
Oh,
yeah, I do not stay awake often.
no.
I know.
I am tired.
All the
All
time.
right.
Right now.
Yes.
I'm gonna
I
fall
know.
asleep right now.
All the time. I'll just sleep a whole entire day and still be tired. Like, it just, as soon as you hit 40, by the way, for all the young people, 40 is not the new 30 or the new 20 or in now 40 is still 40. 40, you're tired all the time, your knees hurt, your back hurts.
Everything hurts. Yeah.
You just get random headaches for no damn reason at all.
Right?
And you always feel like you got a chest pain or cancer or something. Like
Oh,
you're just always like running to the doctor's office. Like, I think I have cancer or something. Like every little thing you think is cancer.
everything. And I always think, yes, I always think I'm having a heart attack. Like
Yeah,
always. It's like, oh, my chest. There's some random pain. And it's like, oh no, you have gas or something.
I did that too. I was sitting in the ER all night. I thought I was
Oh,
having a heart attack. I just had
oh
random chest
no.
pain. I was like, I'm looking on, and this damn internet. Every time you got a pain, you look up it online, and it always
Don't
says
do it.
cancer,
Cancer.
you're dying, or something. Like it's never like, oh,
Right.
you got gas, or you need
Right.
to take a poop or something. No, it's you're dying. You got cancer, heart
Right.
attack.
Always.
You're like, and you're running to the ER
All
thinking
right.
that you're dying.
This is what you have to look forward to, kids.
As soon as you turn 40.
You're right.
40 is not the new 30s. No, no, no,
No,
no. 40
no.
is
And I
it's that same old 40.
right. And now that I'm in my what is this, my fifth decade or now like sixth decade, I don't remember how that all works, but like now that I'm in this new realm of age, we'll see how it goes, you know.
Well, please let me
Ah,
know. I'm not.
yeah.
I'm not looking forward to it. I mean, I still
Oh,
got.
yeah. Yeah,
Danielle.
and you know, I don't know. Someday, I always say to people, like when we talk about age and all that, obviously, I don't care if people know how old I am. I tell them all, I'm pretty
Yeah.
proud of getting here. You know what I
Mhm.
mean? But I'm always like, so what? I don't know. What is an adult? What's an adult supposed to be? If I ever figure it out, I'll let you know because I'm not there. Got my Mickey Mouse shirt
Danielle.
on, you know,
Exactly.
right?
Danielle, listen, I thought by now at 41 I'll be more mature. No, I'm still the same asshole from my 20s. Like I really.
I can show you. Look here for my 50th birthday. I asked for this and I got it. I got this is something I got for my birthday.
I mean,
Again.
I'm still playing video games, and
Okay.
I'm watching sports. I like watching cartoons still. I like collecting toys. I'm like, I thought I grow this.
If I could show you my booth, it is full of toys. I have toys in here. I have so much stuff. I play around all the time. Yeah, I play video games. Forget it. That's the thing. You know, I don't know. Some people I think they hit a certain age and they're like, "This is how I now I have to be an adult," and I'm like, "Don't ever do that. That's no fun. I don't ever
No.
want to be an adult." I'm hoping that if I make it to 80, that I'm still doing all the stuff that I do now. You know.
Yeah.
It's,
Because I looked at my parents, like when they were my age, it was like they had no fun. It was just like they were boring. Like there was a time that people when they're 40s and 50s, like it's like their life stopped, especially their kids.
yeah.
Their life completely stopped, and it was just work, eat dinner, play with the kids, go to sleep. Like
I was
that.
like,
It was that
repeat.
routine.
Yeah. Yep. No, thank you. No.
But by the way, I'm gonna say a PSA too.
Mhm.
Our movie makers, okay, listen. You don't have to cast 40-year-olds to play 20-year-olds in movies anymore. Why not just cast 40-year-olds? 40-year-olds go out into parties and they go camping and they do stuff like that. Stop casting 40-year-old, 35-year-old, 40-year-old people playing teenagers or 20-year-olds.
Right.
You can take a 40-year-old or a 35-year-old and put them in that same scenario and they're going to do the same stupid shit.
Right. It's not right. It's not like we find this magic thing where we're not dumb anymore. Like no.
Anybody in hard movies don't have to be in college or high school.
Right.
You
Right.
can just have a bunch of dumb women who are up on girls' night and get murdered. You have a bunch of dumb dudes in their 40s.
Right.
Guys trip, get murdered.
Right.
You can literally do the same thing. I don't know why.
Right.
This
What
is
was
indie. This is indie and big budget. They are stuck on high school and college,
gotta be
and
kids, right?
but they can't even find high school or college actors to be in their movies, so they get 35-year-old, 40-year-olds to play high school and college kids instead of, which is not believable at all.
Nobody
I'm
believes it.
sorry.
Right.
I'm sorry.
Right.
Nobody who's 35 or 40 looks like they're in high school or college.
No.
Sorry. Oops.
No.
But so why not just have them in, hey, a PTA meeting, and a murderer comes in on a PTA meeting and starts
Oh,
murdering.
right.
Like, why can't you have like adult situations?
With
That's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna make a
right.
movie about. It just doesn't make any sense. Like, why are we stuck on high school and college kids?
Like you go on a work retreat. You know how they
Yes,
yeah, and then but there's a
or
murder.
work.
That's got to
Or,
exist, right?
like,
If
like
not,
even with my jobs, like we have work incentive trips where you win a trip to Puerto Rico. A bunch of people from the company get murdered in Puerto Rico, or we said a work conference or anything
right.
like that.
I mean, come on. That's a great idea. There's a movie. I cannot think of what it's called. I can't wait. I'm gonna. Oh gosh, how can I look it up? I don't want to mess up my computer because then I'd lose you. But it's set in an office. I was trying to think what's a good horror movie that involves adults
The
doing
Belko
adult things.
experiment. Are
And
you talking
this,
about
what was that?
the
What?
Belko experiment? It's when all the people in the office and they're killing each other.
What's it called again? I
The
gotta write this.
Belko experiment.
Oh, I haven't seen that one. I'll have to write
Yeah.
that down. That sounds good. This one has Pedro Pascal in it. That's why. But it's one of those he did before he was super famous. So let's see. And it was vampires. So of course I watched it because I love vampires. Let's see. But he was. Oh no. It's bringing up Buffy the Vampire Slayer, which we could do a whole show on my obsession with that. But it was called. Oh, I'm never gonna find it. Shoot. Okay, I'll stop. Anyway, it was something about. They were at an office building, and the vampires started taking over the office building, but they were just doing like normal office things, and
Oh,
then the vampires took it. It's a really fun. It's one of those comedy horrors, which
hmm.
I am a fan of. So, but yeah, if I could, I wish. I
How
hate
about
that
this?
I'm. Yeah.
20-year class reunion,
Ooh. Oh,
and
there it is.
one of the kids who got bullied or something starts murdering the popular kids at the reunion.
Fantastic. Are you writing these down? You should be writing. I should
I'm
be
just saying,
writing.
I'm saying I'm just tired of watching college kids and high school kids get murdered in camps and parties and stuff like that.
Right. Which, of
Let's see
course,
some grown
right,
ass people.
right. Which, of course, is what I write. But, you
Like,
know,
I'm talking about rated R horror movies that are supposed to be for
right,
adults.
right. Like, make it about the adults and not the kids. It's called Blood Sucking Bastards, by the way.
Ooh, okay.
It's
I'm writing
Pedro
this down.
Pascal, and it's really good. Blood Sucking. I
I'm writing this
recommend it. Yeah. It's funny. I mean, again, vampires. But it's all, yeah, again, they're in an office building, and it's all about like we're calling you into this meeting, and then of course
down.
everything goes horribly wrong. Very
Hmm.
bloody, funny, recommended. Yeah.
And watch the Belko experiment. If people just come into the office that they hate, and then this announcement comes on and says, "Okay, it's like every hour you have to kill X amount of people. If not, we'll kill everyone."
Maybe
And it's a countdown to like the final survivor.
I think that's on I have a very long list of movies I want to see. I think that's on the list. I remember reading about it. So that sounds
Great
very
movie.
familiar. I don't think I watched it though, but
Great movie. Belko
sounds
experiment.
good. Sounds like something I would like.
All right, Danielle, where can everyone find you?
So my website is daniellemuthing.com. I'm probably most active on TikTok, which is Danielle M. Writes. I also happen to be an audiobook narrator, as you can tell by the room that I'm hanging out in. And that's a separate account. That's Danielle M. Narrates. So see how I did that. But I'm also on Facebook and I'm on Instagram. Pretty much everything is Danielle M. Writes. That's where I am everywhere. So I think that's it. And in my booth. You find me here often.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, Daniel, this was a fun interview. I mean, this is my first interview back in a while from being sick. So I'm glad this is my first interview, and this was a fun interview to come back to.
I had a blast. So,
Yes.
yeah.
By the way, you're more than welcome to come on anytime.
Anytime. Do you ever do you want to, if you ever want to do audiobooks, I'll come on and talk about audiobooks too. So
Ooh.
yeah. So it doesn't have to be about writing necessarily.
No, it can be
and
about audible.
Yeah, I did
Which
record.
Most authors don't do.
I know, and see, I'll come on and I'll try my best to convince you all that you should make sure you have a human narrator to narrate your books. And because I've done all my own books, I was really lucky to already be an audiobook narrator. And then when I did my books, I was like, I can narrate my own books. So
yeah.
But yeah, anytime I'll come back anytime. Yeah.
Listen, everybody, get over there and follow Danielle. Check out her website, and also too, grab your copy of Terror at Camp Silverside.
Absolutely.
It's Halloween time season almost.
I know.
It's a great book for your kids. It can be a great book for you.
Right.
Definitely check it out.
You can also, now the two I do have here, I have Sisterhood. There's Sisterhood, and there's Arts and Crafts. So those are the other ones.
I love those covers too.
Thank you.
Beautiful covers. All right, everyone. Thank you for coming once again to the Horror Room. I'm Travis Bruce, and that is Danielle Ruthing.
Yeah.
Ruthing. I knew I was going to mess it up the second time around because it's been a while.
All good. I'm used to it.
We'll see you next time. Take care.